because everybody else is saying I'm fine. And it's like really understanding that sometimes it's okay to not be okay.
It's okay to not be okay. Do you think that we as humans tell ourselves we're fine more than other people telling us we're fine? Like, I see it in both different, both circumstances, but which one do you think happens more, and what do you see more in the work you do today?
Well, in the work that I do today, I feel like we as individuals tell ourselves more that we're fine. And it's not because we truly believe that. We tell ourselves that we're fine because that is what the masses wants to hear, right? It's just like the catchphrase, how was your day? Or how are you doing? What do you normally say? I'm good or I'm fine, right? So we say, oh, I'm just fine. And we say it a lot to ourselves because, again, society, we live in a world where it's like, you have to be fine.
Welcome to the Impact Effect Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Morris, and we've got a special guest today, okay? Dr. Sophia Miranda. And we are going to dive into all different aspects, and we're going to kick it off talking about impact as we always do. Miranda is a board certified health and wellness coach. That's what I said, folks, board certified. So not just your average coach, not just a title. She's doing the work, she's helping people, and she's showing up to create impact. Please help me welcome Dr. Sophia Miranda to the Impact Effect Podcast.
Thank you, Jim. I'm so grateful and honored to be on your podcast today. It's an exciting moment for me.
Totally. I'm excited too. And I'm so glad we had the opportunity to connect and to make this happen. And I believe our listeners are in for a treat today. So, as always, we kick off the Impact Effect Podcast by asking every single guest the same question. What is the most impactful moment in your life that changed everything for the future?
Oh, that is a really good question. I have so many different impactful moments in my life, but if we're looking for an impactful moment in my industry, I think is probably the best one. And one of the most impactful things I've seen is how often women are told that they're fine. We're ever changing. So before everything, gets bad, we're always so, oh, it's fine, you're fine. So I've seen women come into the medical practices and their blood pressure or blood sugar is rising and like, oh, just watch it, you'll be fine. But those are in fact early signs of like metabolic health. And we just cross our fingers and just hope that we're fine. And we just go back to work. And we do sometimes feel stuck without a diagnosis. We're not really sure where to go. And that there was like where I felt like there was a gap in what we do as medical health providers and what we do when we're trying to help clients and things like that. So as a health coach, it's important for us to meet someone in the middle and like fill that gap. So a lot of the things that were happening, again, is like, we don't know what to do. And when I say we, I mean women, right? We're not sure where to go with things. We have so many things on our plate. So the impactful piece is I realized that, okay, I'm a woman. I have the same questions and I'm always a big advocate for myself. So why can't I help my female clients do the same? So once that happened, it kind of took off because we go from, puberty to, childbearing potential to perimenopause to menopause, all the good things men do not have to deal with at all. And we don't realize.
I'll take it, Dr. Sophia. I'll take it. We do not have to deal with that.
And when we're dealing with these things, we don't realize how it is actually attached to our health as well. So you'll never hear a woman say, well, I have menopause. Of course, my blood sugar is rising, because we don't know. We don't know that sometimes diabetes has a link to like menopause and things like that. So I think my impactful moment, like I said, is when I realized just being a girl and understanding that we are forever changing and our bodies are beautiful, that I get to help women who are just like me.
What an amazing moment in your life. And something that you said in the beginning of that, the F word, fine.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm just fine. Diagnosis. It's not that bad. Just watch it. You'll
Mhm.
be fine.
Yeah.
How many times has that word come up in my life? And my question to you is, how many times have you heard that word come up in your work, to you personally? Tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Well, since we are sitting in the first day of the Mental Health Awareness Month, it is good to talk about I am fine, right? So a lot of times you hear that because it's like I want to say it's like a scapegoat, right? You just want to be fine. So you slap on this painted smile and you just continue to go through life. And in fact, that you are just drilling down at your wellness at that point. We deal with a lot of stress when it comes into our work life, whether, stress can be good or bad. Cortisone has a bad name, that hormone, but it works in both cases, whether you're planning a wedding or you're meeting a deadline at work. And you always hear you're going to be fine or you're fine, which doesn't allow you to really express how you are truly feeling in that moment and hold space for yourself. So I hear it a lot at work. You get busy or sometimes you even tell yourself, I'm fine. No, I am literally having a meltdown inside. There's no way I'm fine. Right. So it's like identifying, are you really fine? And having like that check on yourself. Like, okay, am I fine? Because everybody else is saying I'm fine. And it's like really understanding that sometimes it's okay to not be okay.
It's okay to not be okay. Wow. Wow. Do you think that we as humans tell ourselves we're fine more than other people telling us we're fine? Like, I see it in both different, both circumstances, but which one do you think happens more? And what do you see more in the work you do today?
Well, in the work that I do today, I feel like we as individuals tell ourselves more that we're fine. And it's not because we truly believe that. We tell ourselves that we're fine because that is what the masses wants to hear, right? It's just like the catchphrase, how was your day? Or how are you doing? What do you normally say? I'm good or I'm fine, right? And people it's just like saying hello, right? No one really believes that someone cares enough to say, I'm having a rough day, and then you listen. So
Totally.
we say, oh, I'm just fine. And we say it a lot to ourselves because, again, society, we live in a world where it's like, you have to be fine. So now you
Totally.
expect yourself to believe that you're fine. And I see it a lot with clients. I'll ask, when I work with clients, it's about their autonomy, not me being the expert in the room. It's more so about them telling me what's going on. And I think that's the hardest conversation to have with someone, especially someone you don't know, right? You are coming to me because you are having health concerns or wellness concerns or stress issues going on, and you want the help, but you're not quite sure how to divulge that information to me because you've always been taught you're fine. Right now, you're telling yourself you're fine. So just holding space for these women in these situations where I know you're not fine, you're not fine, but I have to hold space until you're ready to tell me that.
It's almost like we're scared of the vulnerabilities that don't align ourselves with what we see on the highlight reels or in society, right? We don't want to be that person who brings negativity, but at what point do you ignore the truth, especially the truth that's affecting you in that moment? And you said something that's really powerful. You related it back to the conversation of how are you or how's your day going?
Yes.
And for me specifically, when I talk about building relationships and curating deep human connection, I talk about this phrase called cotton candy conversations. And a
Yeah.
cotton candy conversation is exactly what you said when you ask someone, how are you, right? It might look good. It might feel good. It's your go-to. Similar to cotton candy, it's sweet. It tastes good, but is it really benefiting you? right? That sugary substance that's bad for your health, like it gets nowhere and it mitigates the truth. And whenever I've said, you know what, I'm having a tough day and this happened and this happened, and you hold that space, like you said, you give someone the opportunity to share, to just get it out, right? Verbally.
Yes.
What happens to your body when you do that? When you feel like it's just, right? The deep sighs and the emotions that come with that. So I love what you said and how you related it back, because I often talk about these cotton candy conversations that aren't good for our health, aren't good for deep human connection. Has there been a time in your life where you noticed that you were saying that you were fine when you weren't? And are you open to share some of those?
Yeah, of course. I think that it's important to share, right? We're living a human experience together as a whole, and we are relational at best, right? Even in days where people say, well, I'm a loner. No, you're not. You haven't found your people. That's what this is. So for me, yes, I tell myself I'm fine every day, especially when recently, when I was going through the whole time that I had to go and study for my boards, and I'm having to do this, but inside I'm still having to see clients. I'm still having to show up at work. I have to, I'm a mom. I have to show up for my kids. I have to show up for my family. I'm someone's sister. I have to show up for my siblings. So it was a lot on my plate at that time. And someone asked me, are you okay? Well, I wasn't okay. My son was having a medical emergency. And in that moment, I couldn't even say I wasn't fine. I said I was fine, but my whole entire body, my face said something completely different, and there's like, hey, what is going on? Like even my text message said, I'm fine. But they know me not to be short. I like to talk, as you can tell. When I answer questions, right?
You and me both.
Get the I'm fine. They was like, what is happening? They called me. It's like, hey, are you good? They heard it in my voice. You had the tremble in the voice and just like, what's going on? I'm like, well, my son's in the hospital. We've been here for a week. I wasn't fine, but all the calls before that call, I told people I was fine. And I think it was more so the fact that I didn't want to have to explain in that moment what was going on and how I was feeling.
Totally. It's tough to have those conversations, but when I think of, so you're talking about someone who knows you, your people, your circle. And I started to think about when you engage with someone who doesn't know you, right? Like you're short, like you said, with them. That's your first interaction. Maybe you're a little short. Maybe your face can't hide your true emotions. Your body language is off. So someone who can recognize that when you're saying that you're fine and everything's good and this and that, and that's the first time you meet them, what are you actually signaling? Are you signaling that you're someone that can be trusted, or are you not? So when I think about that first interaction, I'm like, okay, we can play this game of dishonest truth and emotion, and maybe some people won't pick up on it, but those who are interacting and performing at a high level and who engage with a lot of people, do a lot of business, right? Like they're going to pick up on that. And it may not even be conscious. It may be subconscious, but what does that actually do to the relationship that you're trying to build with that person? You're saying one thing, your body language, your facial expressions are telling another. Now there's this subconscious kind of effect where maybe you start to initially not trust that person, and it actually doesn't help you build that connection or relationship with them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you put there when you said that, when you're meeting someone for the first time. So in my work, we're constantly seeing clients, right? So you could have some bad news and have to get right back into working with someone. But in situations like that, you have to know yourself well enough to say, hey, I can't see this person. I have to move this client, especially when it's the first time. Now, did I see clients that week that my son was in the hospital? Yes, I did. But those were long-standing clients who knew me enough to trust me in that moment. But when you're building rapport, you have to show up as your authentic self. Right. And if I can't show up as my authentic self in that moment, I have to accept the fact that I need to reschedule this person because they're not going to get the best of me. in that moment. And I think that's important as the person providing the coaching, and also to know that when I have, every coach has a coach, right? So I have my own coach. And even when I go into coaching, if I'm not my best self, I'm like, okay, today I have to be vulnerable and say, hey, this is what's going on. So if my answers are a little different than last week, this is why, right? Again, it goes back to being relational. People pick up on subtleties. They pick up on when you're wearing a painted smile on your face. They're like, okay, I know you're smiling, you sound friendly, but your eyes are telling me something different today. Like you're not here. So it is very important that you are honest with yourself when you're working with clients, so that you are showing up, especially for those consultations when you're meeting them for the first time. And there's like, oh, I don't know, I don't think I like this person. And it's truly because of whatever's going on in your personal life. And we're trained not to bring that into a coaching session with us, but we are still people with feelings and going through real emotions. And in those moments, just like, hey, I need to reschedule. I've had, a family emergency or whatever else is going on. So then when you do show up, you show up in a place where you can build that rapport.
What a powerful, powerful statement. Wow. You got me thinking of a time. And what I think about this actually is this comes down to you having awareness around integrity, right? Mm-hmm. If someone is going to pay you, if someone is going to give you their time, their energy, mm-hmm. and you're not at the level that you can serve them, that you've either guaranteed them, you've told them, or you've marketed or positioned yourself to, move the meeting, reschedule the meeting. And as you're saying this, I made this mistake a couple of years ago, and I really, really effed this one up. I was having a really tough day. There was a lot going on in my personal life. My day was jam-packed, and I took a meeting, and it was with someone I just met. They wanted to connect. They wanted to do business together, mm-hmm. and I was not present. I just should have canceled it. And my ego got in the way, and I was like, oh, it's fine. We'll squeeze it in. I'll be good. And I totally jacked up the conversation so bad that they had reached out to someone else I knew and was like, that was terrible meeting with Jim. That was awful. And luckily that person let me know. And it was such a pivotal moment for me. And I've canceled a lot of meetings since then. Mm-hmm. And it's allowed me to show up my best self, to give the person what they deserve in that specific moment. And I think it comes back to having integrity and knowing yourself and trusting yourself to mm-hmm. say, I'm not fine.
Yeah.
I should reschedule this. Yeah. What a powerful, thank you for that reminder, because that was a very pivotal point in my life, making relationships and building business. And, until you said that, I haven't thought about it. And it happened a couple of years ago. And I've been rescheduling those meetings and aware, but I haven't really reflected or sat on it. So thank you. I really appreciate that. With your, wellness coaching and working with women, what mm-hmm. is something that you often see come up in your sessions that you may see repeatedly or repetitively that you can share with us today for any women listening, any of our listeners and subscribers that may need some of this coaching, but aren't really sure what the problem is or what they may be experiencing today?
I think right now we live in a hustle culture. What I mean by that is like you're always on the grind, and best way to say it. So when we go into our workplaces, we're always on the grind. We're in the hustle of the work experience that we don't realize that stress is a real issue right now. So a lot of women are burning out. I work with young professionals, older executives, and they're women, and they're like, well, I have to meet this deadline. And they're so hyper-focused in specific areas. And yes, I do work with a lot who are dealing on the health side, but What I'm talking about is the wellness side, right? Because they're two different things, right? Health has a lot to do with diagnosis and things like that. Wellness really is where sleep lives. That's where stress lives. And these are things that we're lacking as a whole. So a lot of the times women who are coming to me, they're like, I just can't sleep. Or if you can't sleep, they're gaining weight. So now we have this cycle going, and there's like, I'm really stressed at work. I'm burnt out. They don't usually use the word, the S word. It's a naughty word. So they'll say, I'm burnt out, right? I have a lot on my plate. So these are terms you hear very often when you work with women clients. And you're like, okay, well, let's get to the bottom of what is burning you out. And they're like, well, I don't know. It's just, they give me their normal day. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, that is like 3 days in one. Not your plate is not overfilling. It is completely buried, right? And it's just okay to recognize that I can't do everything. And we always come to the same point where we talk about radical acceptance. And that means it is what it is. I cannot do everything in one day, and I cannot be everything to everyone. And once we get there in any session, whether it's session 3 or session 14 or session 30, when they come to the agreement that radical acceptance is something that we have to deal with and understand that it's okay not to be everything to everyone, and that we can only do X amount of time in a workday, then we're able to then set goals and move forwards in what they're really trying to strive for. And sometimes it is a health goal, and sometimes it's more a fact that they're just trying to set boundaries on things or have work-life balance. We say work-life balance, people are like, what is that? Right? What do you mean? I'm up till 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, well, what time do you get up? I get up at 5. What? Like, when do you sleep? So for us, a lot of the times I see it has a lot to do around stress management than anything else, because when you're dealing with stress, it is connected to your health. People who are stressed aren't sleeping, like I said. They're not eating the best, or if they are eating, they don't have time to meal prep. So there's a lot of things that go into that, and then you start seeing it in your blood results. And you're just like, well, I work out 5 days a week. That is great. That's a good stress reliever. But what are you doing afterwards? Well, I'm staying up to 2 a.m. because I had to take the hour to go kickboxing, right? So it's like living in having some type of balance for my women clients. It's hard because I just spoke about work, right? But what happens when they're married? So they have their obligations as a wife. They have children. They have their obligations as a mother. And let me tell you, being a mom, you do not get a day off. You can have the flu, and guess what? You're still going to have to show up for your children. So these are a lot of the times, this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing women who are working in multiple roles, not just in their career, but in their home life as well. And sometimes if you are the matriarch of your family, then you become the therapist. You become the person that they look for advice. So it all, again, circles around stress management and having radical acceptance that you can't do all things. And I think that's where a lot of women are attracted to working with me, because they're just like, well, how do I deal with this without having imposter syndrome that I'm not enough? Like, I have clients say, oh, I want to go back to school. Wait a minute. You just said you have this laundry list of things, and now you want to get a 3rd degree in what? Right? So it's like also showing up honest with my clients. Just the way I'm talking to you, I talk with my clients as well. So it's more like a friend talking to you on a call, because it's important for them to understand, hey, girl, no, we can't do that. That's not, I usually ask, okay, where do you find time to do fill in the blank? And then they'll pause and say, well, maybe I can't do that right now. And then it's like deeper. Why do you want to do that? Well, I feel inadequate. Like, why do you feel inadequate? And then, you start to chip off the paint that's really been just layered on over and over. And then we get down to the fact, I'm stressed. I don't feel seen. I don't have balance. And I feel like this is the only thing that allows me to do whatever it was that they said they wanted to do. So I know it was a loaded answer, but it was a loaded question. So women are dealing with a lot right now. When it just comes down to all of our responsibilities, but then also showing up as our authentic self, without the painted smile, and having radical acceptance that we can't do everything. We're not Superman in real life.
Wow. I mean, we talked about the F word. Now we're talking about the S word, and that is stress, listeners. Yeah. That is stress. Radical acceptance. You know, when you were talking about, you know, I want to go get another degree, I want to go back to school. One of the things that took me so long to learn and to figure out was I kept adding and adding and adding and adding. And now, whenever I have a new, I want to learn something, I want to write another book, I want to, you know, enhance another project, I want to offer another service in the marketing company I own, or add another package in the book creation company that I own. One of the things, and this took me 35 years to figure out, is whenever I want to add something, I really have to remove two things first. Right? Absolutely. Because it's not just a 1-to-1 ratio. When you add, it's like the rocket ship, right? You put all that power as you blast off, right? And you need to use the most energy to get up. And then once it's up and it's rocking and it's coasting, you see the pack fall off, right? And it just goes. But in order to add something, you are using up so much energy to build it, to get it off the ground, to create, that you do have to remove two things in order to add that one. And it was always a scarcity mindset thing for me, where I'm like, well, I can't remove two things. I have to add two and remove one. And I'm like, no, that is an incorrect ratio. I need to add one. Okay, I must remove two. So I appreciate you sharing that, because, you know, I think we're always in this state of mind where we can do more and we have to do more. And as an entrepreneur, business owner, high-level executive, director, manager, we think, okay, we need to pile it on more. We need to get better. And maybe we do need to get better, but maybe it starts with redaction or retraction opposed to addition. So it took me a while to learn that. I'm so grateful for you to bring that up in this conversation, because I think we're always trying to get better and grow and, you know, break barriers and smash our goals. But are we really doing that at the level of effectiveness and more so efficiency that's needed to accomplish those things? And I think more often than not, the answer is no. And I think as an entrepreneur and someone who sees opportunity, we want to do it all, right? Yeah. And, you know, a mentor of mine recently told me over a cigar a couple of weeks ago, he said, Jim, you know, the third most important lesson that I learned in scaling my business and exiting it was this. He said, you must say no 9 out of 10 times when an opportunity is presented to you. Because if you don't have that filter, if you're always doing this and then doing that, and yes, let's run this play and let's try this, then are you actually putting the time, the energy, in some cases, the revenue, the money, the investment behind what actually matters most? And it's not that those ideas or opportunities are bad or they're going to go away. It just might not be the right time. And that conversation started off with me telling him about how I have a parking lot list. And one of the events I threw, I had the idea to do it 2 years ago, and I put it in the parking lot because it just wasn't the right timing, and I didn't have the right team to pull it off quickly, and some of the partners were busy that we were going to do it together with. And 2 years later, I had that event, and that event was a couple months ago, and it coined into this amazing reoccurring event and great branding. And we packed it out. We sold out both events. I did another one last week. And if I did it then, it would have crushed me. But that lesson was so powerful to think about, because it doesn't mean it's a never. It just means it's a not right now.
Yes.
Have you ever had some of those opportunities pop up? And have you ever had to navigate some of those really sexy, really like, oh, I want to do it, but it's not the right time.
I think it's funny you said that. It resonated with me so much with what your friend said, because I typically tell people every time you say yes to someone else, you're saying no to yourself. And when I got
Ooh, you gotta, okay, listeners, you gotta play back that one because that was powerful. All right, go ahead.
But to your friend's point, when I got started in what I'm doing now, there's three areas of it. And one was, coaching. Others was more that group setting coaching piece of it. And then the last piece was retreats, right? So it's like three different areas that I want to work in. I want to do everything at one time. My brother's a strategist. This is what he does. He does consulting for a living. And he says, Sophia, you have to focus on one thing. And I was like, no, I can multitask, because I was just getting started. When you start a new venture, like you said, you're all in. I was like, I can do all three. He says, no, Sophia, you cannot. We can't do all three at one time. Where do you want to focus? I'm like, but I can do everything at one time, because us as women, we believe that. We truly believe that. But multitasking is not real, right? Your brain really focuses on one thing at a time, whether it's in short spurts or not. So the retreat. I really wanted to do retreats. I was seeing clients at the time. I was trying to get the retreat done, and it was a flop, because we didn't know what we didn't know at the time. And I say we because I partnered with my best friend, who also runs, she's a psychologist, and she runs her own private practice, just like I do. And we wanted to do this mind, body, and spirit retreat. And we just thought it was the best thing, but it was the wrong timing. We finally had radical acceptance, and we understood that it was the wrong time to do it. So we put it in what you would call the parking lot. And last year we actually had the retreat. And I'm in North Carolina. She's in California. We chose to have it in Florida. And when I say women came from all over the United States to this particular retreat, and it was so successful. Had we done it when I was gung-ho and she was gung-ho about doing it several years before, like I said, it was a flop. We weren't getting interest. And it wasn't that people weren't interested. They just didn't know who we were. They were like, who are you people? Like, what do you mean you wanted to spend X amount of money on a retreat? We don't even know you. So I said, okay, we probably need some marketing done first so that people know who we are. And it had nothing to do with credentials, but it does kind of feel defeating when you have all these credentials. You can see some on my wall now, but I have like a whole wall over here of credentials, right? That I can't go up and say, hey, Jim, here's all my credentials. Do you want to sign up for my program today? You're probably, I don't even know you, lady. Get away from me, right? So it was just understanding in that moment that there's going to be times where I really want to do something, but it's, like you said, not the right time to do that. Radical acceptance. I accepted it. It is what it is. I'm going to focus my time and my energy on the private practice coaching part of the house. And while I am nurturing these particular clients, they're referring people to me. Just so happened when we had the one last year, I had mentioned it to a client in one of my group settings. She says, well, what are you doing for the weekend? And we typically don't talk about our personal lives. I says, well, I'm hosting a retreat over, in July or what have you. And this person told other people. So we had people from Chicago, California, New York, Florida, North Carolina, just all these women came from everywhere to come to the retreat. And we were trying to make it a small retreat, and it ended a little bigger than we expected it to be. So it was still intimate. So we were able to still pour into people, because the goal was for a retreat, not a workshop, because, workshops and conferences can be 50 to 100 to 500 people. But we wanted something like 10 to 15 people. So then we can really speak into them, hold space for people, and understand them as women. Because again, we have so many things going on. And we also incorporated time for wellness, to do yoga, have Pilates, take a ride with a bike on the beach, go to the market, do things that we don't always get to do. And I think it was so successful because we took a step back in the beginning. Again, it took a second to learn what that was, to take a step back. But to answer your question, yes, we have absolutely had this happen to us. And I now love your word. Now I have a word for it. I just said, I put it on the back burner, but I like the parking lot term. So with your permission, I'll be using that from now on.
Let's go. Thank you for sharing that. And it's, from someone that's such a high performer like yourself and is helping so many people. I think you just being vulnerable and sharing some of those situations really shows that we're all faced with some of these things. We're all faced with these, ideas and opportunities at every level of business, right? So whether you're listening and you're an entry-level entrepreneur, whether you're running a $20 million company, whether you're somewhere in the middle, you're always going to be faced with these opportunities. And the power of no allows you to continue moving through your current business, your current offerings, to have the opportunity to live in the margins, to be able to reflect, to be able to look into the future of your business and create the vision and understand your dreams and your goals to aspire and build what you believe, wish, and want in this world. So what an amazing episode. Dr. Sophia Miranda coming in hot today on the Impact Effect podcast. I really appreciate you and your time. Is there anything else that you want to leave the listeners real quick before we wrap up today's episode?
Yes, I think it's important for us to show up as our authentic selves. So just having time to reflect, understand who the woman in the mirror is. That's something that I do with a lot of clients, especially in group settings. I usually have a mirror, a vanity mirror that's sitting down. And I always ask, who are you? And I think it's something that's important for people to know in general is who they are. And 9 out of 10 times, I guarantee you, I can bet money on this, they will always give you a title. They'll always say, I'm an executive, I am a mom. And then I always tell people, okay, and they'll tell me their titles. I'm like, that's wrong. Who are you? And it's very emotional when you're trying to figure out who you are. So leaving that with your audience today is really looking in that mirror back at yourself. Michael Jackson said it's best, when you're looking at the man in the mirror. But for us, who's the woman looking back at you in the mirror? For me, it's like a kind, generous person is who I am, right? Like characteristics is who you are innately, right? How do you show up for others? And when you realize who you are, it makes it so much easier to navigate life.
Boom. Let's go.
Thank you.
Wow. What a way to end. Thank you for being here. And to our listeners, thank you for supporting the podcast. And we are so grateful to have these amazing guests and also you listening and tuning in. So thank you, everybody. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Yes, thank you. Bye.